Started. Yes, sir. It's your boy, man, Keiz Ali, and welcome back to episode 3 of the community. You got a lot into Reggie's expressions, and of course, Reggie himself is here. What's going on, Reggie?
What's going on, man? I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here.
But I unfortunately saw last night, but man, hopefully I can learn some more information from you guys. What's going on, Angelo?
Nothing much, man. Just chilling here like a villain.
Y'all see Angelo got the haircut.
I'm not part of DC
tonight,
or Marvel, but
You see Angelo got the haircut. Y'all see him? Got the grays. Poppy looking great. I see you, boy.
Yeah, I'm popping that gray. About to turn 29 for the 14th time on Tuesday.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with that. I just had a birthday as well myself. I turned 32. I think I'm the youngest out of you guys, right?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, you are.
When was your birthday? A couple days ago?
Yeah, September 16th, man.
Oh, yeah. Day before my niece.
Virgo season. All right.
Are we still Virgos? So then they add like a horoscope in there somewhere?
Actually, my birthday is the last day before the cutoff.
What's the next one?
Libra.
I thought they added a new horoscope in there somewhere.
Yeah, but it was like towards the end of the year.
Okay, so it ain't messing with us?
I'm in that new category. I don't know the name of it, but my birthday is in December, and I'm a part of that new category.
You still a Sagittarius, or you claim the new thing?
I claim Sagittarius.
All right, man, nothing wrong with that, Saggy baby. But guys, if it's your first time checking in with us, we do have 2 more episodes that came out before this. Man, that first episode was more of a question answer thing. I believe it was one of our best episodes. You know, Mr. Reggie got really emotional on that one, got really into the topic. We appreciate that. I'm not picking at him. I'm telling you, man, if you missed that first episode, please go back and dig into that, man. That was our first time sitting and talking. I may have said a few ignorant things that I won't say on episode 2 or 3 because I learned from these fellas. And then on episode 2, we got into acceptance, homophobia, and the end game. Mm-hmm. But tonight, man, we're digging into these laws, and we're talking a little bit more about the trans community. Now the trans community thing is because of me. I'm not going to lie. I have a lot of questions that I hope these guys can help me with. Neither one of the fellas identify as trans, but as being a part of the community, they have a little bit of information. So keep in mind, if they say something wrong, or if I say something wrong, teach us, don't beat us. Y'all agree with me, fellas?
Yeah, I agree. That's
right. Now, go ahead. You gonna say something? Oh, my fault. I thought you was gonna say something, Angelo. But there's 8 different laws that came out recently, man. I was doing my research before we got into this episode. 8 different laws that came out, man. 3 anti-trans sports bans, 1 anti-trans medical care ban, and 4 religious refusal bills. Now, fellas, I'm not a part of the community, but I'm really big on politics and learning about what's going on in the world, man. And these religious refusal bills, you guys know what they are?
Yeah, from what I understand, they are where a business can choose to not serve you depending on their religious beliefs, right?
Yeah, that's how I took it too.
Okay.
Angelo, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. What's your favorite coffee place?
Starbucks.
Go into Starbucks and the manager say, you don't want to serve you because his religious belief is that the community is wrong and it's a sin. How you gonna react to that?
Well, knowing me, I'll probably look at him like he's a jackass and say what I got to say. But then again, I will pull my pocket where I need to go. And of course, if I have to blast you on social media and all my platforms, I will. I mean, like I said, there's always repercussions. Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do for religious reasons and purposes or medical reasons or whatever the case may be. That's fine, great. I'm not. I mean, I just to say. Well, for me, the same way I don't want my life to be intruded on. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like if you don't want to serve me, fine. To be honest, I don't need that coffee. It's not like I'm going to lose a kidney if I don't drink that coffee. But best and believe, the moment that I walk out of that building, your business is going to be on all platforms. Yeah. What was that last platform that people don't even go on anymore? MySpace. I will even put you on MySpace.
But why? Like, why would you attack the business? Why can't you just say, okay, you don't want to serve me, cool, I'm out? It's their business. If the tables were turned, you will have the same power and control to do these things, and you will want your business to be respected. So why would you blast out that business that way?
Well, it's just, I mean, if you're okay, yeah, it's your business. You can you know, what I mean, it's not, you are putting this policy into place. You are in a way promoting discrimination by definition,
Mhm,
even though you're shielding yourself by your religious beliefs, you are still promoting discrimination.
mhm.
Right.
And regardless of what, I mean, yeah, you can shield yourself from religious purposes, but that doesn't stop me from invoking the truth. The only way that you're going to get me if it's defamation of character, period, right? Or if
What do you
I'm
mean?
being
You said you're going to
defamatory,
invoke the truth. All you're going to say is that Starbucks told me not to come in because I'm gay. But
right?
and then you said
And
you're going to continue to be like, don't shop there, don't go there, right?
well, no, I'm gonna post what I need to do. I mean, I'm not gonna, me personally, I'm not gonna picket your store. You know what
Okay.
I mean, but what I'm saying is, I will have my voice be spoken to on social media and every platform that's available to me. I'm not the type of person that's gonna be like, oh, let's start a picket line and go from there. No, I'm gonna voice my opinion, and businesses, you tell your story once and 10 people will hear it, and then they'll go from there. It's
Sure.
like the telephone line. You know what I mean?
So you feel like what you're doing now is attacking the business back because they were discriminatory against you. Is that your answer to it? I guess.
No, my answer is I'm going to share my experience
Right.
But you
about
know
that
what your
business.
experience is gonna do, Angelo. You know that, like you said, 10 people are gonna hear it, and
Right.
one of those 10 people may start something and go with it from there. So you know what you're starting.
Right.
Right,
And
but it's
it
not
is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have no control what other people do. I'm just going to share my story.
I
I'm
understand.
going to share my experience.
Right.
If I'm going to share my experience, that's like you going into a barber shop
Mhm.
and he nicks your head, you know what I mean, while he's cutting you, and you're like, you get that text message. So how was your experience with XYZ haircut
Yeah.
company? And you say, oh yeah, I had a very good experience, but he nicked my head and I bleeded for a couple of days, and I'm a hemophiliac. A lot of people are going to read that and be like, I'm not going to see that barber.
Well, the thing about it is, when those type of we're gonna move on, but when those type of surveys come, they're directly from the business. You're purposely going on social media to say that I went to Starbucks and he told me to leave because he didn't want
True.
to serve me. They didn't do
That's
anything
true.
wrong per se, because that's the law. They have the law to go by. So
Mhm.
I kind of feel like, man, you're gonna go out there and say that, and then activist or somebody on
Well,
your timeline gonna see it, pick it up, and that's gonna hurt that business, sort of say, right?
well,
And you
well. I
have to
mean,
understand that that's the intention too. Obviously, if we feel discriminated against, part of the ownership that we have over it is the fact that we're number one, we're going to be honest to our experience, and we're also going to, with the expectation of showing how in 2021 we still have companies that we patronize on a day-to-day basis, whether they know if we're gay or not, which they don't have any issues with. You know, that's that's really the issue there. You know what I'm saying? Where we have the choice to be able to say whatever we want based on our experiences, and that's it. Just like they can follow those laws, but it's not gonna happen where you're gonna have people want to patronize your business if they perceive what you're doing is discriminatory against the people that they know and love. I
One
guess.
one
and
last quick. Go
and I
ahead. Go
have
ahead.
and hold on, and I have one last comment, and it's going to be kind of messed up, but it's in my brain, and there's a reason why I'm saying it. Um, it's no Businesses no longer have the option of being segregated in America, right? You know what I mean? Your audience is not a particular race or a particular culture. It's no longer segregated. Yeah, back in America standards, back in the day, you served whites, you served blacks. And I think in a way some people have that mentality and use their religious freedoms for that particular reason. And and that's fine. But at the same time, we're now a more socialistic multimedia social media platform that it I mean, if you're hurting your business, is because You choose to do that. You're not being inclusive in your business. Now, if you want to narrow your spectrum to a particular demographic,
Right.
great. But that's no longer America. It's no longer narrowed down to a specific demographic anymore.
The last thing I'm gonna say, and I got a question for you, Reggie. But the last thing I'm gonna say to this topic, and of course, guys, if you're watching, please chime in here, Angelo, up and tell them how you feel. But the last thing I want to say is this, though, man. It all boils down to respect for me. Now, I can't speak from either one of your sides because you're in the community and I'm not. But what I can say is boil down to respect. If someone not, if I'm talking about a black and white, a racial thing here. If I go into a business here in the town and they say I don't want to serve you because you're black, if they said it in a respectful way, I'm walking back out. I feel like that's the end of it. It's their business. It's who they want to serve. Now, it is against the law. We can go on with that. But I'm talking about this religious refusal bills dealing with the community. I'm kind of meshing those two together. So if that was to happen to me in a respectful way, you respectfully told me to leave, I'm out. You didn't yell, you didn't cuss, you didn't N-word this or anything out the way, so I'm gonna leave. So I can't agree with just attacking someone based off of them just saying, I refuse to serve you, but we different people and we do different things.
But you know what? The thing about it is you're taking. I mean, we're talking about a business versus a person. You know what I'm saying? So the business is non-emotional. You have a person who is. That may be your belief, but you, and I keep saying this, you can't control how I'm going to respond to what you tell me.
Yeah.
So if I feel discriminated against, you absolutely daggone right that I'm gonna go on Facebook and tell 10 other people so they know my experience. And yes, I do know that intention whenever I go in there. You know,
so you'll admit that you're going to
absolutely
clap back.
You can call it clapping back or whatever. To me, it's responding to my emotion because I feel discriminated against. And that's the bottom line. These rules exist, you know, with the idea of taking out the emotional aspect of it. But the unfortunate part about it is it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? When you are told no, it feels horrible. You respond to that no in any situation. That also it also messes with how you perceive certain things in terms of, well, am I not good enough to go in there? And all these other internal thoughts that it may sound like it's just a little thing to you, but I internalize that. And then I develop a complex based on it. At the end of the day, the idea that rules can exist and there's no gray area doesn't necessarily work for me. And, you know, I think that we would be a better world if we just understand that, you know, it is what it is. Every circumstance is different and we need to take it by case scenario.
Gotcha.
You know?
Now, you just said you'll go online, you'll clap back. Bring me to my next question. What type of what's the word I'm looking for? How have you used social media to get the word out about some of these laws and some of these anti-trans laws? And I know we talked about in pre-production, there's been about 6 or 7 years now that, you know, gay marriage is allowed in the US. So what have you done over your time, over your life? You are OG. That's the term that we came up with last time around. You are OG. So in your OG lifetime, what have you done, if it's social media, if it's out in the streets, to push for certain laws or push against certain laws that go against the community?
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of community outreach, obviously, is some of the things that I do. For me, I think knowledge is power. So I use my platform, you know, mostly to talk about, you know, the things that go on in my life and also what I've learned over time as well. So if there's something that I feel like is important to, you know, to speak about in my vacuum or not vacuum, but in my world of folks that I follow, so on and so forth, then I'll learn as much as I possibly can. And then just in casual conversation, mention it. So I might not have a dialogue directly with that person about what's going on, but it causes the option of conversation where they may take the step further and decide that they want to research it. And they do feel that it is a bit discriminatory or however way they feel about it. And they choose to either talk about it amongst their friends or if they want to approve or deny what's said. So that's really what I try my best to do, is to learn as much as I can, have a dialogue with my folks, and then just, organically bring it up in conversation. Now, here, Carlos and I would say last year before it was during the pandemic, we worked with Voting While Black. It's the, I forget what, the CPAC group of folks. And what we did is we went out and was stuffing bags and just going around talking, about some of the things and letting people know in the community, what we do. And, that's a sense of outreach as well, that I do from time to time. But for the most part, this social media, a lot of people like to denounce it as it being something that, doesn't mean anything. But I don't know how many times the internet or social media has been used to find people, have been used to, get the word out there, get people voting, talking, information. We use it on a day-to-day basis. So, when these people are talking about just internet sleuth or internet people who are just keyboard warriors, there's power, in that. And, at the end of the day, it's definitely a medium that I continue to use, and it's relevant, to making sure that you get what you want out, and that's what it's about.
Now, the reason why I asked you that is because you're very passionate about our next topic, this whole blood drive thing, about being able to give blood and give plasma as a gay man in America. Now, I'm gonna step out the way because, like I said, you're very passionate about this. We're gonna give you the big screen, and we're gonna sit back and you tell us what's going on with this thing, my man.
So, for those of you who may not know, giving blood in America is one of the greatest things you can contribute to when it comes to any type of natural disaster, right? But with blood drives, there are specific things that you have to be, in line with. One of them, making sure that you're not HIV positive, infectious disease, so on and so forth. And most importantly, if you're compatible. Now, with the blood donation, one of the things that I feel is discriminatory is the fact that as a gay man, initially, it was 12 months you had to go without having sex, right? As opposed to there not being a time limit when it comes to, same-sex, or not same-sex, but heterosexual relationships. And when the post situation happened here in Orlando, they changed it from a year to 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Right now for COVID, it's 3 months.
Convenient.
COVID, I'm sorry.
For COVID, it's 3 months as well.
Yeah. So, there's no stipulation when it comes to, heterosexual relationships, but they're also subject to the same, STDs that we're subject to. So it's not a matter of protecting, anything. It's just discriminatory because I don't know a straight person other than people who choose to be celibate, or even gay person, that can say they have gone 90 days straight or even a year straight of no sex. Why is there that double standard? What I'm saying?
Well, not only that, I've known and heard of a lot of heterosexual couples having anal sex.
I wasn't ready for that, but yes, obviously we know that people, exist in, they try things too. So who's to say that heterosexual man who identifies as heterosexual didn't, have sex with the man the night before? There's no way to validate these things.
Do you know like what's the justification behind it without being, biased?
I guess I can, well, you had to throw that little caveat in there. And I had to rein it back in. But so first off, no, I can't. And secondly, the only thing I can think of is just, the fact that, HIV and AIDS was a gay disease back in the 80s. And that's what it was believed as for so long. And because that's when the rule was implemented, it was back during the period. So long story short, we already know what it is. It aligns, right? So, long story short, I
It's
think
an
that's
antiquated policy.
hmm?
It's an antiquated policy based on a fear that it's no longer a fear. Because if the fear was HIV, if that was the fear, right? Because I kind of understand in the beginning in the 1980s, um, people were, were being infected, and it was predominantly more within gay men. Um, but later on, as the science expanded and censuses and people coming forward with the disease, um, then it kind of identified, no, it's no longer a only gay men disease. I mean, heroin addicts, coke, heroin, and all this other stuff. Addicts, people that share needles. That's why I think is it what, or is it Seattle or Oregon that has the free, clean needle program, stuff like that for people, that are drug addicts that use needles. They can make it a safer way for them to ingest their drugs. Um, and even now, it's not even a shoot with current medications. A lot of the viruses can get the virus gets remission, suppressed. So, but it's an antiquated process. I mean, I personally stopped
There's just no
donating
reason
blood
for it
years
to.
ago. So,
You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just kind of one of those things where somebody probably read it recently and was like, we should probably do away with that.
right,
Don't worry
and the
about
initial reason, that they give you when you go donate blood is bullshit. You know what I mean? It's really bullshit initially. But I donated blood. It's been about 20 years.
it. Yeah.
Um, and I stopped donating blood. One, I had a very bad experience with with them drawing blood with 12 gauge needle. Trust me, the experience is not cute. And then for me, it wasn't cute. I mean, having a 12 gauge needle turning this nice little chocolate skin to white skin, no, it was not cute.
I know the
Uh,
second reason. The second reason because he couldn't go 3 months.
yeah, well, that's another reason. You can't go three. Well, back then it was a year, but
Oh yeah,
yeah, you can't go 3 months. I mean, I would never, man, even a straight man going 3 months to a year
it's not happening.
without getting that, without getting the pipe smoked.
It's
You know
not
what I mean?
realistic.
So, and then, and not only and not only that, I mean, for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm not special, right? My blood is I'm a B positive blood type. So the only thing I can do is sustain life. That's all I can do. The only thing they can do with my blood is, oh, you're going through surgery? Okay, well, let's give you some blood while we go through surgery. It's not like they can give you an O or an O positive blood and you can probably survive whatever you're going through. Um, but yeah,
Well,
to me, yeah, it is an antiquated policy. Me personally, I wouldn't be donating, and those are my reasons.
I'm gonna call y'all out on this now, right?
Okay.
And the reason why is because throughout this series we've been talking about issues, we've been talking about solutions, but on this one,
Hmm.
especially you, Reggie, why you haven't done something about it, man? Why would you put a committee together and try to get a change just in your area and then grow it
Sure.
out? You're a talking head, you got your podcast, you got your show, you got your following. I'm pretty sure you can make some movement, right?
Mhm. And to be honest, yes, you're right. I do have that platform, but it isn't something that I partake in that doesn't directly affect me. Because number one, I'm not sexually. I'm never doing that. And then secondly, that the restriction, because it doesn't exist on the other side, is, to me, there's no need for it, because they have the same access, and not access, but they have the same chances of getting an infectious disease through sex as I do. It's no different. So
Now,
Well, let me put it to this way. I mean, even with our platform, your platform, or anybody's platform, trying to change the CDC in a 12 panel, on their point of view is new point. To be honest, you know what will probably change their mind?
what's that?
To be honest, it's going to take a clusterfuck of a problem in this country for them to just lift up the band and say, you know what, we'll accept any blood because people are dying.
Mhm.
You're right. You're right. Now, is there any other odd laws or odd rules that you guys have ran into over the years, man? That just like that's anti-trans, anti-gay, anti the community.
Um, one of the things that keeps coming up in the trans community is, um, not having, there being a ban about they have to be at least 18 years old before they can partake in any
Yeah.
changing um, type thing. Now, for me, I agree with that. And the reason why I agree with it is your body isn't finished changing. Even at 18 years old, you know? So to do something that's going to be, life altering at an age where your body's still growing and changing, we don't know the science on how that's going to affect them in the long run. So,
I agree with you on that one. I agree with you on that one.
So that's it for me when it comes to that one. I don't necessarily feel, but I can only imagine what it would be like being in a situation where you feel like your body doesn't match what you feel inside. I don't know that pain. I don't know that struggle. So it may be worth it for them, but I think that it is nuanced, and I don't see it being a bad idea just simply because we need more data.
Gotcha. Now, before we go, I want to talk about the trans community, but before we go and jump into it, I need y'all to break down these pronouns to make sure I'm not fucking anything up, right? So it's he, which is like me, right? Or he, him?
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then like, so the gay community, the gay male community is still he, him, right?
Right. Yes.
Then it's she, her for women.
Yes.
What is they though? I don't get the they. And I'm not trying to be funny, but like I don't get the they.
The they is taking the gender specific pronouns away. Basically allows you to just speak to them directly without figuring male or female. From what I understand, when it comes to they, those people don't typically identify as either male or female. They're non-binary. They're not male. They're not female. So, typically when you get that they, that's because at some moments, and this is as simple as I can, explain it. At some moments they may fulfill a gender role of what would be considered woman. And there could be a situation where they fulfill a gender role where it may be considered inherently man. And
I hate to nitpick, but can you give me an example? Because I'm not grasping it, man. And we can move on. You can throw it to me at the end of the show, like behind the scenes. But I'm not grasping it, man.
Okay.
Like, when would you? How would you like need to be a woman and then need to be a man? Like I'm not getting it.
I think you're oversimplifying it because it's not the idea is gender roles, like man and woman. Those are gender roles, right? And when children come out, they're either boy or girl.
Yes.
When you take out the gender roles, there's a big area of gray in there. And, a good example of what a gender role would be women are expected to take care of the kids. Men are expected to go outside the home and make the money, right? Mm-hmm. In the world that exists today, we know that women can be breadwinners. We also know that men can be, caregivers for the children.
Yeah, man. House husband.
It's not about gender roles at that point. It's about getting what needs to get done.
Okay.
And wherever it may fall. And the idea of it is that there are blurred lines when it comes to what's inherently male and what's inherently female, other than just physical penis, vagina, type of situation. You know what I'm saying?
So when do we need to start respecting the new pronoun? Because I'm a little confused. Angelo, help us out here. A man that wants to be a woman or feels like she's a woman is a trans woman, right? Mm-hmm. At what point do I say she, her? Like when do I have to start doing that per se?
Ask is my thing is ask.
Perfect.
Because it's everybody's different as far as where they transition or
Transition.
where they start and where they end, right?
Right.
As far as transition is concerned. Um, so just ask, hey, what do you want to be identified as?
Mhm.
And most of them will not be offended if you ask. Now,
Mhm.
if you assume,
Right.
that's where kind of it gets a little murky
It
because
gets
you'll
tricky.
have you'll have a lot of like for example and I always get these messed up trans men. They don't, most of them will just stop on and not have a bottom. Their um
The bottom surgery.
yeah, the bottom surgery. They'll just stop at breast, feet, facial features, breast, and they'll stop there and they won't transition to their bottom. Most of them will still have their born genitalia, and but they will still identify as she and her, right? Um, then you have those that trans women that would do the same thing and stop and not transform the bottom and still consider themselves her and she. So it not my thing is, and I learned this the hard way, is ask.
If I know
Because
your
I was
name,
kind of
if I know your name, Angelo, like you're Angelo,
hmm
you the homie Angelo. Like I'm gonna say him. I'm just gonna say him. His. Like it's gonna be natural because you just know. So I don't think they should be offended at first interactions.
But the thing is there's a difference between actually knowing the person prior to and a person that's completely new, right? The person that's completely new, we have the nuance of asking, "Hey, what would you like to be called?"
That's
When
weird, Reggie.
well,
I, I feel like
it
it'd be weird for me
so
to say that to you.
a
Like,
better word is not weird. It's different. It's not normal. It's not what we consider normal,
okay,
right?
okay. So let me hold on. Let me. I just thought of something. Let me ask you this, please.
okay,
At first glance, if somebody came to you with facial features, right, look like a man, how would you address them?
sir. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Okay. And if someone had long hair, no facial features, kind of look soft, maybe no, I'm not gonna say that. Just
Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna say,
long
ma'am.
hair,
Yes, yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
but then you have men that have long hair as well, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of and they have no facial features whatsoever. You know what I mean? So would you be like, yes, sir? Because and the funny thing is, I worked in customer service for over 10 years, right? My thing was hearing people's voices because I spoke to people on the phone
Mhm.
constantly, right? And you will get that one customer on the phone and be like, "Hi, my name is Over. Oh, hey, sir, how you?" No, it's ma'am, and you're like, "Oh,
My
sorry,"
bad. Yeah, you
and
continue.
and,
That's a
and
very
you're
strong
only
man.
right, but you're only listening to the voice, right? So yes, you made that one mistake once, right? Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, and then continue. The problem with the trans community is that even people that know aren't accepting
Right.
of
Okay.
their change
Right.
and or their transition, and they just constantly keep reminding them that no, you were a woman before, or no, you were a man before, and that's where the problem normally lies, because normally in general a regular stranger will look a facial hair, whatever, like
Mhm.
you said, hey sir, hey ma'am, you know, whatever the case may be. But when they know the person, they've been part of the community,
Right.
somebody that you went to church with,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh, but when you and I were playing around, you were Keith, and now you're Karen. And they try to remind you that constantly, no, you were Keith. No, I'm Karen. No, but you were Keith.
Well, it's before or after the surgery though. I feel like the surgery is the mark. Like I feel like the transition moment of having the surgery is that turnover. Or am I completely wrong?
No, because you have to understand my understanding, and I could be wrong. Again, I'm not
Yeah,
an
yeah.
expert the trans community. But you have to understand there's also an economic uh an economic point to the transition, because there's a lot of people that cannot afford a bottom surgery. I mean, that can cost you 20 to 30, thousands of dollars. It can bankrupt you.
Right.
But just because you can't cut off or modify your genitalia does not negate how you feel.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, just because you didn't go through the complete transformation of modifying your genitalia does not necessarily negate the fact how you feel. That's like me asking you, hey, Keys, how you feel today? I feel crappy. Why? Why are you feeling crappy? The sun is out.
Yeah.
The universe is great. Why are you feeling crappy? So, and then you're like, oh well, why do you want to change my mood? I feel crappy, but I want to change your mood, right?
Yeah.
But you're in a crappy mood, and here I am telling you, but the sky is beautiful.
Yeah, I get it. I guess the surgery thing in my mind, it's been like a permanent thing. Like when you have the surgery, I call you what you call you. When you go through the change, your government papers, because it's difficult to me, and it brings me to my next topic. And when it comes to trans children that's in schools, a lot of the I've heard about this with educators. The trans children are coming into school, and their name is Mark Anthony, but they want to be
Hmm.
her, she,
Mhm.
and the educators are basically getting punished for not referring to Mark Anthony as her, she. I personally feel, and I would love to hear your feedback on this, but I personally feel if you're not officially changed, surgery, paperwork, then when you're in school, when you're a child under 18, you should just stick to the line that you were born as.
Okay, so give me a guideline here as far as what we're calling children, right?
18 and under.
Because
Yeah.
okay, yeah, but I mean, you have to understand. To me, 18 and under is different. To me, it's kind of different, right? Because there's stages in your life as a child, 1 to 6, 6 to 12, because we all go through different stages in life, right? I mean, when I was a little kid, I know I had an imaginary friend, and that probably happened between 1 and maybe 5 and 6, and then from 6 to 12, I had a different experience. So when you say underneath 12, I mean, that's why I'm asking the question, right?
Okay.
Because I'm just like everybody else. Even as an adult, I'm always evolving and changing. But as a child, right? And don't get me wrong, I believe this is my personal belief, Angelo's belief. You know, a child should, if they're going to transition into what they feel they are, I personally believe that they should wait until over the age of 18. That's just me. You know, if their parent want to do, guide them in a different direction, that's up to them. The parent, their doctor, and what the child feels. Um, but I'm not going to negate what a child feels, right?
Mhm.
Because if I'm not going to say, I mean, I I'm not going to tell a child, oh, you don't have an imaginary friend between 1 and 6. I mean, it would
Yeah,
you
it'll break
you,
them.
you kind of don't want to do that. You know what I mean? You still, in a way, want to guide your child. I mean, this is where parenting comes in. You know what I mean? And not negate somebody's feelings. And I know that we fall short sometimes in projecting our expectations and feelings into children,
Hmm.
and not understand that children have to progress in life, and you cutting them off at the pass is going to be harmful. That's like a parent saying, oh, well, you're never going to be a basketball player because you're not going to be 6 foot. Nobody in this family is over 6 foot. Everybody in this family is 5'2".
That's kind of
But
different.
no, it kind of, to me, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Okay. Okay.
You know what I
Reggie,
mean?
what's your
Because there's nurturing in that as well.
I think that, you would have to have a real conversation with your child and tell them that unfortunately, people are not going to understand how you feel on the inside because it's not something they can see. And
True.
you have to have a nuanced conversation with them and say, yeah, your teachers may get it wrong sometimes. And you have to understand that this is new for all of us, and we're in the process of going through it too. So although you may feel some type of way when your teacher calls you Rob or Michael instead of Michelle, and that's because they're also dealing with the transition as well. It's not just a you thing. It's all of us. So that would be the first thing that I would do, and just continue to check in with my child and say, hey, you understand that this is nuanced, this is new, this is different, and the I like you said earlier, you definitely evolve, time goes, and I do feel like there will be a place where gender roles, in terms of male and female, will evolve and will completely encompass everything, that everybody can be under. It's just one of those things that will become the status quo, but right now it's not. And that's going to be something that sometimes you're going to have points where you're going to have to stand firm and stand up for yourself, and there's going to be some times where you're not going to be able to show that rage, and that's life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's all about growing up. That's growing up.
Right.
That's it.
And another thing that I also have to say as far as the educator is concerned, because my partner is an educator, I sometimes we have this conversation as well, because we've had this conversation in the past between me and my partner, is also, why is the educator having an argument with a child? You should never have an argument with a child. You know what I mean? Like, why would you argue as an educator, argue with a child? Is that how the child feels, or how they have a conversation with the parents?
Mhm.
This is how your child is feeling.
Mhm.
You should have this conversation with your child, and then we can come back to, because keep in mind, in my belief, an educator is supposed to educate your child, not give them moral guidance either.
Yeah, but and you're interrupting. I get what you're saying about educators supposed to guide them along the way, but if you're interrupting the classroom with saying, my name is Michelle. Well, everything from your ID badge to your birth certificate says Michael. Your parents refer to you as Michael. That's just you got to look at it from that
But
standpoint as
but
well.
even at that point, Keys, the unfortunate part about that is I would hope that the parents would have taken it upon themselves to have this conversation with the leaders,
Right.
and they're aware it's not just one day Robert came in and he wanted to be Roberta. You know what I'm saying? And it's new because yeah, you are going to have that back and forth. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But again, it's all nuanced, and a lot of times we think the issues that we have affect us all, when in actuality it's our bubble, and we have to brace people for that. We can't expect to change our new normal and then expect folks to understand our new normal. We got to explain it to them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's it's really about having a conversation with your child, giving them the power to be able to explain how they feel. And then also, if something changes, bringing all the parties that are involved in that development of that child and letting them know, hey, this is what's going on with Robert. He is Roberta. We're going to play this out. We're going to accept him and move forward with this. And I, would hope that you guys would want to go on board with helping that transition or development for whatever sake.
Right.
Before I leave this topic, and I got one quick question. I need a yes or a no because we can go all night. Do you think the educators should be punished for not wanting to acknowledge this new pronoun?
I think that they should be. I think they should be given the choice to either participate or not, kind of like the vaccine, whether you want to take it or not. If they decide that they can't fuck with that, then they should be given an opportunity to either, go somewhere else and it not be indelible mark on their permanent record. You know what I'm saying?
So Reggie saying no. Angelo?
I'm saying no. I mean, the educator, to me, the educator's job is, again, I'm going to evaluate you as far as educating the child as far as the curriculum is concerned.
Right.
As far as what your pronouns, how you want to be addressed, and whatnot, look, if the child wants me, if I was a teacher and a child want me to call her her,
Mhm.
I'd be like, girl, okay, get your ass down, do your homework, do what you need to do, blah blah blah. I'll in, I will indulge in your situation, but at the same time, I will be having a conversation with that child's parents. Like, look, do you understand that your child, when they're in school, this is what they want to be addressed at? You know, this is something you need to talk to your child about.
Gotcha.
Um, and go from there, because keep in mind that, again, my job is not to help your child transition on whatever they are doing, because it's going to probably sound controversial, but kids change. Everybody changes all the time, right? I mean, I remember as my child as a kid, I used to play around with GI Joes. I used to play around with Barbies. I used to play around with, stuffed animals. You don't want to know what I used to do with the stuffed animals. But,
Wow.
Right.
um, but you go through these phases in life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I experimented as a kid. You know what I mean? Everybody experimented as a kid. Some kids eat dirt, some didn't. You didn't experiment as a kid. I did. I was one of those kids that experimented. Even today, I'm one of those people that I will push the envelope until somebody tells me that I need to back paddle.
Gotcha.
But um, I sometimes I will push that envelope when I feel comfortable of doing it. Sometimes, as an adult, it's a different story. But yeah, I mean, going back to the trans children, it's not really the educator's job. You're asking them to go out of their preview, of what they're doing. Now, if they're failing as an educator,
Yeah, it's a
then that's a
different
whole
story.
different story.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So your answer is no. Both you guys say no to punishing the educator if they're not getting the pronoun right.
Mhm.
Right.
No,
Now my
it's
next
not there.
question.
It's not up to them.
My next question is up in the air to either one of you guys to answer. Did either one of you guys play sports in high school, middle school?
Baseball.
Ran track.
You ran track, you played baseball, right? The
Mhm.
question that the next topic I want to bring up as it came to the screen is transports.
Mhm.
From 2019 to 2022, 33 new bills have been introduced to ban trans women for participating in women athletics.
Hmm.
I'm just going to say that you guys have the floor. How you guys feel about that?
Mm. I don't really have a feeling, to be honest.
How do you think that's excessive for 33 new bills? Do you think it's an issue? Do you
Oh
think
well, sure, but it's the thing about it is I do know that women can do what men can do,
Mhm.
and sometimes women can outshine men, hands down, in certain situations. But there are some advantages that you have being inherently male that you don't have being inherently female, and you'll never be able to get. You know what I'm saying? Even though you may add the extra, breast or whatever the case may be, if you're a man, or get rid of, there's some basic things that you can't change. In terms of your bone structure and things that make men different, like 13 ribs as opposed to 12 ribs, so on and so forth.
And the
Um,
elbow thing.
hmm?
And the elbow.
So the thing is nuance, man. But
Angelo, he sound like he on the gate, man. How you feel about
I
that,
don't
man?
know.
He on the
It's
I'm
gate.
rattling the gate because
What?
I'm rattling the gate. I'm kind of like, I don't know, because I kind of get the argument, because there's two parts of it, right? There's the genetic part of it, and then there's the
the
feature
feeling
part of it, right? The
right.
feeling about it,
Mhm.
because you have a lot of them in the medical community saying, well, if their testosterone level isn't at this much, then they really don't have the same stamina and the same endurance that a male would have, right? Because what does testosterone scientifically does, right? It gives you a deeper voice, gives you more endurance, gives you facial hair, facial features, or whatever, blah blah. That's what helps transition, right? Especially with uh uh trans women. Am I getting it right? Yeah. Um, transition is taking more testosterone, and then the opposite, right? You have estrogen. Keep in mind, genetically, and I think I think I'm going to go back to an old conversation that Reggie and I kind of had. It was controversial back then, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to bring it up today. And this is a perfect example. Um, scientifically, and I'm going to bring this up scientifically, we're all asexual, right? But once we start developing, we're actually all females in the womb. Okay. Then our gender becomes that either you become a woman or female. I always made this joke that we're all bisexual. I've always made that little joke. Yes, it's a little joke that I've always
I
made.
had that same face.
Yeah, he
There
had the
was no
same look.
way that he was gonna make
But it
that.
was always it's a joke that I always did because I was like, hey, you know that we're all bisexual. I was like, how do you bisexual? Well, we're all set up starting we all start up as being female and then we are being male. That was my joke, you know what I mean? But really scientifically, that's how it happens. We all start off as female and then we end up getting our gender aside, either you become female or male. And then we all, even today, even as sitting here as three males, we all have estrogen in our system, and it's part of our DNA. It's just we have a lower level than the female does. We all have the same. You know what I mean? We and females have testosterone as well. It's just a lower level, and higher level of estrogen. Um, my thing is are we having this discussion because of science or because of religious purposes?
Well,
Is really the question to me.
I don't think it's neither one, man. I mean, it boils down to should trans women, people that were born men, play in all women's sports?
And vice versa, right?
Well, the vice versa, I don't think we even have an issue with really. Do we have
I mean, does
that?
it?
I mean, on a social platform, not saying it's not happening,
Mhm.
but on a social platform, or on the world's platform, the big issue is trans women playing in all women's
Okay.
sports. A
Well,
guy
the data.
going over, making the transition. I said the right word, making the transition
Hmm.
to a female, and then they want to play women's basketball, women's soccer, women's UFC. I think that shit is crazy. Excuse my language, but I think this shit is crazy that a man can have a transition and then get in the cage and fight a woman.
It's
You think that's okay? I mean, I want to know.
To me, I
I'm
mean,
stuck, man.
I
well,
mean,
and the thing is, well,
I'm with you, man. Like seriously, I agree with you. Um,
I
it's
mean, the only argument that I can bring to the table is the scientific part of it. You know what I mean? Um, and as far as the scientific part of it, I mean, I guess we have to look at the data. I mean, didn't we have a few now in the last Olympics? Transgender was that
I can't confirm it. I
yeah.
can't confirm
I,
anything like
I,
that.
I have no.
okay? But I mean, we
Without the
just have to look
science,
at the
Angelo,
data.
I get you want to keep it to the science, but I'm asking you. You have a daughter. Your daughter wants to box. You find out a trans girl, I want to get it right. A trans girl is your daughter's next opponent. You check this trans girl record as a male, as a boy, he was kicking ass. Now he's in the ring with your daughter. 12 rounds, finna box. You gonna be okay with that?
But you added something extra.
What I had? What help me out now?
The idea that because if he's wrestling as a or wrestling or boxing as a female, his stats are going to be different. It's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same, but it's there. When he was a boy, he was kicking ass all through.
If they made the transition already, I'm assuming they have a different name to go by, just something
different, yeah.
So it's not. There's no way that that information would even.
You know that information is going to be out because that's going to be a hot topic.
I mean, we can debate nuances and stuff, and I get what you're trying to say. I completely understand it, but I think that it would be safe to say the average person would know unless they told them that it's trans or a trans girl. You would have no idea.
Angelo, trans girl fighting your daughter. You down with it or not, bro? No science. It's your kid versus this kid.
I just make sure that I train my daughter to kick his ass.
I gotta take that answer, man.
Why
is this such a difficult one? Why is this such a?
Because
for me, it's nuanced. Every situation is different. Every situation can be looked at the same lens. No matter how much we come up with these things that's supposed to, incorporate everybody.
It's black and white.
Different. Huh?
It's black and white, Reggie.
It's not though. It's not. We're talking about how somebody feels on the inside, what the outside looked like. We talking about people who knew that they transitioned before and people who don't. We're adding, those are extra elements that obviously would change it as time goes on. So you can't say that I would rule with the iron fist this way, and then, as the nuances change, you change.
Well, one word you guys keep throwing up is how someone feels. But you're only talking about the feelings of someone out of the community, not the feelings of, back to our first topic, the business owner, not to the feelings of the little girl that has to fight this now trans girl fighter. What about their feelings? What about the parents that don't want to participate in that? What about the teachers who don't believe in that? What about their feelings? Are you saying, oh, it's a new world, it's a new day, forget your feelings, things are opening up? How do you guys speak to their feelings?
I mean, to be honest, everybody at the end of the day has a choice to either participate or not. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line, right? So all I can do is tell you my story. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a part of it, you can. And for those who don't, there's the door. And that's as simple as it gets when it comes to these kind of things. I mean,
you keep saying there's nuances though, Reggie. You keep saying everything's a nuance, but in your situation is.
Yeah. But what I'm also saying too, Keiz, is it's not a blanket statement. Like not everything that I say is going to match for every situation. Mm-hmm. I do say nuance because there are nuances that you have to consider for every situation. And without that bit of nuance, I might make the wrong decision on something not based on the right information, I guess. You have to take in consideration of those things to come up to a full solution. And yeah, at the end of the day, all of it depends on how that person feels. I'm big into honoring folks and how they feel. You know what I'm saying? It matters to me. So if you came to my house, you remember earlier we was talking about, if you were upset, I'm trying to get you happy or whatever the case may be. I'm inherently invested in trying to get you feeling better. That's just who I am as a person, right? And I can look at that as being something that I could just write off or something that I need to take a closer look and understand with a different eye or different lens that Keiz may just be having a bad day. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't define him as a whole person. And I'm not going to look for that to define you specifically. I'm going to understand that there's going to be some things that Keiz is going to get away with that Dax ain't going to get away with. And that's because we have a different relationship.
I get it, but Angela didn't respond, so I want to give you an opportunity as well. And Reggie, you ran from the question. You guys continue to bring up how that person feels, but none of you guys have addressed how, I guess you would say, not the victim, but the other person feels. The business owner, the teacher, the other parent. What about their feelings?
Nothing. I mean, as simple as it goes, their feelings don't matter to me.
How is that right?
It's not about right or wrong.
But that's kind of where the line draws, and a lot of issues happen with
the idea is that things are nuanced. You know what I'm saying? Again, I can't rule with an iron fist.
I'm not trying to rule. I'm not trying to get you to rule with an iron fist. I'm trying to get you to look at it from just a different view here. Well, I could probably say every subject that we've hit on this evening, both of you guys at some point says it boils down to how that person feels. If they feel like a man, they should be a man. They feel like a woman, they should feel like a woman. I feel discriminated against. I'm going to go to my Facebook. I'm going to go to my MySpace. I'm going to blast you out. But no one has taken the moment to spin the coin and say, well, how does that other person feel and why their feelings aren't respected? Now, again, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I listen to a lot of right-wing radio just to get their thought on it, because I don't want to keep everything on one side. And a lot of times they that's the question that they have. Well, if we care so much about how you feel, well, what about my feelings when it comes to this situation? Their feelings being the person that doesn't believe trans women should play in women's sports.
And like I said, when you have a discussion with people, you give them the out to choose whether they want to fuck with you or not.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where it lies. It's about that decision that they choose at that time, whether to fuck with you or not. It's not, the idea is that people don't all of a sudden decide that they're going to change. It's been something that has been bubbling for a while. So they've shared with somebody along the way that, hey, this is an experience that I'm having, and I think that I want to move forward with this transition.
Gotcha.
And it isn't a matter of not caring about. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing I can talk about is how I feel, my experience, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? But I can give that person the option to either fuck with it or not. And if they decide to stick around, then they have to accept it. Or they can, and I do understand that people change all the time. And what could be good, 5 years ago might not be the same for me. And that may change every so often. And I understand that people grow. That's what we do. But
so, Reggie, your answer was you don't care about those feelings. I want to stick to the question and get it back to Angelo.
That's not my answer.
But that's what you said. You didn't care about the feelings and you went on about other things.
I didn't say that.
Give me the solid answer then, right here. What do you have to say about the other person's feelings as well?
It's not so. Like I said, the only thing I can talk about is my experience, and I also know that at the end of the day, if they have chosen to stay in my life, they've already made that decision.
We're not talking about you making a transition. We're talking about the other person in every situation that we've addressed this evening. The first situation being the business owner that discriminated against Angelo, Starbucks, if I'm not mistaken, right? Asked him to leave. You said, if I feel that way, then I'm going to go and I'm going to say what I have to say on social media because I feel this certain way. But what about that business owner that feels that this is the policy? The next thing that we talked about was the educators. The educators, the child feels that they want to be addressed as this. But what about the educator's feelings? Who doesn't want to participate in all of that and just wants to teach? Why is a light not shown on them? Why is a negative light shown on them for just standing up on how they feel? And I asked you, how do you feel about that?
I mean, again, as I said before, it's all nuanced. And, I just because it's not, I get what you're trying to say, and I completely understand the point of what you're trying to say here. But again, I go back to what I say. Everything is nuanced and every situation matters. And I have to take take what information I know at that time and make the best decision for me.
Same question, man.
Before.
Do you care about the feelings of others that discriminate against you, that don't participate in wanting the trans children to be identified by a pronoun, or the parent that doesn't want their woman, their cis girl born child to participate in athletics with trans women?
Right. And I understand the question, and while you guys were discussing, I was really going back and forth in my brain. I respect everyone's decision and how they feel. Okay. Yes, I might feel discriminated against. I might feel I can feel a lot of emotions. And yes, in the moment, in the heat of things, we all do things that sometimes you step back and be like, well, I should have done things differently. But the way that I look at it is it's not only my point of view as well, but the other points of view as well. Because yeah, I might feel a particular way, but you should also walk in my shoes too, as you want me to walk into your shoes. You and I, and most people, I'm I'm old school. I like to have those debates. I like to open up conversations and have people understand. Unfortunately, we've come to a point in America where we're tribal. It's one way and one way only. Nobody comes to the table and have a discussion of how people really, really feel.
Mhm.
And then when you become tribal, is where this conversation comes in, right?
Mhm.
Tell me how you feel. Well, no, this is how I no. Tell me how you. When people genuinely sit down and put themselves in each other's shoes, is when really we're gonna get things point across. Unfortunately, yes, we live in a society right now that everything's a platform. People get canceled for feelings, get closed for feelings, get blasted because of feelings. And yes, the other person is not brought into the conversation, which is sad. It is sad that the other person isn't brought into the conversation so people can learn. But the other problem is again, I go back to the point that we're tribal. And when you become tribal, that's where people stop communicating. You know what I mean? Um, so in the way that I look at it and the way that I stance on it is, hey, um, yeah, I'm sorry, this is how you feel, this is how things are coming across. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but do you understand how you're making me feel?
Mhm.
Yes, I'm going to social media because how you made me feel. Now, yes, I am the type of person that if going back to my Starbucks, if I go to Starbucks, oh, you can't be served here because you're gay, overweight, whatever
Whatever it
excuse
is.
you want to give me, I'm gonna look at you like you're crazy, and I'm gonna be like, what the hell? But that's not gonna stop me from not putting myself into social media and blasting you. Now, if you want to have your big boy pants on after I put on my social media and say, why did you feel that way? Why did you give me that 1-star rating? I will tell you, this is why, because this is how you made me feel.
Gotcha. So you're
But
up to having
in
that conversation if the person wants to go back and forth and have a dialogue with you about the discrimination or whatever it may be. You're open to having that conversation without
I'm
tipping the bowl over.
right. I'm not the type of person that's gonna go crazy and ham on somebody. I mean, I love me some ham, but I'm not gonna go crazy on ham. But what I'm saying is unfortunately, I mean, we're having this discussion really
Think.
this particular discussion because because right now in America we are tribal.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago when I was growing up, we weren't a tribe. It wasn't me against them. Now we've turned into a tribe. I'm going to stay in my corner and I'm going to have my beliefs, and I'm going to stay in your corner and you're going to have your beliefs,
No.
and nobody wants to have that conversation.
Gotcha. Now,
Just like you and I, just like us three are having this conversation, no one would say, well, why is, your beliefs different than mine? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I kind of answered your question or not, but
for
really,
what I took from your answer is that you're at least open to having a dialogue about whatever the situation may be. If it's the educator, if it's the Starbucks, if it's the athlete, you're open to having the conversation. You do care enough about the other person's insight on it to hear it and
I
learn from it.
do. I do care about
Okay.
the other person's
Okay.
feelings, and I mean, I'm, I don't know if I've said this before. I'm a social worker. This is what I do. I love my job. I care about people. I want to hear what you have to say. At the same time, I give you the same courtesy
You
to
get.
understand my point of view.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? And like I said, I don't do this industry as like I was talking in my my welcoming to the show. I don't do my job just nilly-willy. I love my job. I love being a caseworker and helping people. But at the same time, if you don't give me the same grace and courtesy, then you're not going to get that same grace and courtesy. I understand that you have religious beliefs. I have my own religious beliefs. I mean, I was raised Catholic voodoo. I mean, come on.
Yep, I got you. Now, to bring it up a little bit, because that conversation kind of got a little, for lack of words. I want to learn about voguing. Reggie calls it ballroom culture. You call it voguing culture. We started this in pre-production. I just need to know, like, so why is it called ballroom? Why is it called voguing? What's going on with the houses? I feel like it's gangs. I'm interested. Like, this is something that I see on TV, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna ask these guys because they said ask them anything. You might not participate in any of this, but please share your information to a young lost man like myself.
Go ahead, Angelo.
Okay, so ballroom and voguing, I mean, I know how they kind of mesh together. Don't get the ballroom part of it as misconstrued with the whole, other ballroom that's out there, as far as merengue, salsa, bachata, and stuff like that, and flamingo, and all that stuff. Um, Voguing really kind of started off. It's when you say gang, it was more of a friendly battle between houses. Keep in mind, in the community, you even back then, it's sad, but it even happens today. You have a lot of LGBTQ kids and and people that are not accepted in their own home, in their own house.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
You'll
you
get
have
it.
the House of Ninja, you have the House of, you know, Legend Javi, you have the House of this and that. It's a house of inclusion, right? It's a house of accepting other kids that are not accepted in their home, accepted in my home. So that's where the house
Gotcha.
kind of,
Okay, thank you.
so that's where the houses were created, right? Especially in the 80s, and especially in the 80s, a lot of these kids were kicked out. They were thrown to the streets. You know what I mean? They parents, they found out that they were gay, or found out that they slept with a man, or even had an inkling that they were, gay. They kicked them out of the house, right? So yes, the house of, and I use the House of Ninja because when I was growing up and I was talking to um Reggie about this, when I was growing up, I was very familiar with the House of Ninja, being raised in New Jersey and being close to New York. And Willie Ninja was basically the founder of voguing and the ballroom scene. He accepted these kids that were thrown out. And you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, if you run an orphanage, what are you going to do with these kids?
Yeah.
You know? So, but he started this ballroom voguing stuff, and it's kind of started like street battle, right? My house is better than your house, and we're
Yeah.
gonna vogue and see who does it. You know what I mean? And it started as a friendly competition, whose house is better. It's kind of like civil rivalry, right? I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if you had like civil rivalries, like, am I better than you are? You are better than my, you know
Oh
what
yeah.
I mean? And that's how it kind of started.
Right.
Um, Today now, ballroom is still kind of underground. It's starting to become more mainstream because of Legendary,
Legendary and then
and Pose, and the
yeah.
show Pose as well, that they showcase voguing and the houses. But to answer your questions about how the houses are formed, and like you said, that you felt that it's a gang. It's
Yeah, it's
not
like this.
really a gang. It's just you have these people that are taking kicked out of their homes. You know what I mean?
It's like an
And
orphanage, for lack of words, like an orphanage, I
yeah,
guess.
you can use it as a kind of,
Because they really do get to choose their family. So, you
yeah,
know, or orphanage, they're kind of like a family that chooses to, because there's a mother figure. Some houses have father figures. You have siblings,
Right.
brothers, and sisters, and stuff like that. So it's really the
It's a
family,
support network.
right? Because sometimes, like you said, you'd be surprised in 2020, you still got people, family members that are kicking out, other people because of them being gay or identifying as, transgender or whatever. So.
Right. I mean, and I know that you earlier you were discussing, and I kind of stayed quiet about it earlier, but I give to the Trevor Project, um, because they help those displaced LGBTQ individuals that are displaced. I mean, that's kind of like the homeless situation. You know what I mean? I mean, we have thousands of homeless people in our country, and not only that, we have LGBT. I mean, most people. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but there's a difference, right, as far as being homeless and then being kicked out for your sexuality. There's a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to make sure that there's a difference there, but because you're thrown out of your home because of your sexuality, it has nothing to do with economic pressures or anything else. Just because you love somebody else, I mean, and getting shunned and kicked out, that's devastating. You know what I mean? And these houses were, when Willie Ninja started the whole voguing um apparatus, I guess you want to call it. His intention was to say, hey, these LGBTQs these gays, these lesbians, these transgender kids are accepted in my home.
Mhm.
Gotcha. I see you over there dancing, Reggie. You done had a Vogue battle? You done had a Vogue battle before, man? How you
No,
did it before?
I've never done voguing,
Would you
but
do it? Like if you just in a club? Oh, so you have done it, Angelo?
no. Oh, you
Yes,
have.
I have.
So
Oh,
like
I
how you know
have.
you won, bro? Like how do you know like this
It
house
just
won versus
depends
this
on where
house?
the cat ends.
Yeah.
No, I did it at a I did it at a fun when I was younger. Like I said, I met a lot of Willie Ninja's kids growing up. Actually, I'm still friends with someone that is part of the Willie Ninja, or was part. He's older than me actually. Uh Gary, if you're watching, hey. But um I learned a lot from, like I said, I mean, like I said before, and I don't know if you heard before coming here, as far as the announcement is concerned, I have a lot of useless but fun, information in there. I bring a lot into the table, and yes, I was always that shy gay kid when I was younger. I was that one kid that kind of looked in the side and see what's going on. But I learned a lot. I mean, I learned a lot from the voguing, ballroom. I used to do the duck walk, death drops, all that. I mean,
You
I
talking about
couldn't
they
do
just fall
flips
out on the
because
floor?
even at
Like
5'9", huh?
you used to do death tone, they just fall out on the floor and pop back up?
Yeah.
That shit like it
Yep.
hurt, man.
Well,
Yeah.
I used to do that at 220 pounds, but not now. Not at this weight. I'm not doing it anymore. And bad knees and bad back, I'm not doing that no more. I could probably still do I could probably still do the duck walk, but
You got any footage
you're
we
not
could
gonna
put
see
up?
me.
You got any footage we could put on Instagram of you voguing?
This is in the 80s, unless we had like a VHS.
Mhm.
Look,
I don't
man.
think I have any. I don't think I got any VHS remaining.
I
Come on,
want
Yeah.
to
this was
see
when
this.
camcorders were around.
I want to see this, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really want to see this because it looks like I said, it looks very entertaining.
And
I
this
think
was
it was Pose was the show I seen it on, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I gotta ask because I'm confused now. Like, y'all gang banging and
I
dancing. This
mean,
is cool.
I could be a judge on the. I mean, I don't need Megan the Stallion to be there telling me who's going to judge what. I mean, I can look at them and be like, okay, this is going to win. This is going to win. I've predicted the last two seasons of Legendary, but like I said, I mean, voguing is not. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not the whole definition of being gay. I mean, it's a branch of it.
Yeah.
I don't want people to understand that voguing, that everybody in the LGBT in the alphabet community. Oh, God damn it. Anyways,
Come
everybody in
on
the
now, you gotta say
community,
the letters, man.
LGBTQIA
I
Ah man, that's
plus.
at least I learned
Okay,
that. I know that part. Come on.
roll out, man.
look, we've had this. We had this all this. We've had this before, but not everybody is part of it, and not everybody knows about it. Not everybody is part of it. Some of us do know, especially the older, God, older ones. Okay, but you know,
The OGs.
most of us know about it, and but the way that the houses were started, it's in. We already discussed how they started, and it doesn't identify everyone in the community. It is. I like the art. It's kind of evolved of what it used to be. It really has evolved. And I'm glad that HBO Max has picked this up to bring it to light, right? Because
It's all a part of
I'm glad about it.
elevating and putting eyes on the the community. I think it's great. The visibility is definitely picked up in the last few years, and Legendary is something that I didn't even really. I mean, other than the introduction to it to Pose, I didn't know that it still existed in the way that it did until I saw Legendary, which was only here recently. So it's definitely a part of putting us all on the on a level playing field and making sure that everybody is represented in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I have been to. I would love to participate in it. I would be interested, but I ain't got no rhythm. You know
I
what I'm
gotta
saying?
see it. I
I
gotta see
ain't
it.
got no rhythm. Like, I mean, I can do this, but don't ask the rest of my body to do it because that's a whole different
Oh,
situation.
you can do a duck walk. Come on, you can do a duck
I mean,
walk.
I can do one, but I would not get up shortly
You
thereafter,
gotta do
or
a
I
duck
might just stay
walk
down
for
there.
the gram. You gotta do a duck
Huh?
walk for the gram. When this episode drops, y'all go check his gram, and he doing a duck
Oh
walk.
Lord, shoot.
But look, guys, man, I really, 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 really appreciate this time I was able to spend with you guys on camera and in the group chat, behind the scenes, pre-production, post-production. I've learned a lot, and I hope that the people that are watching have learned as well. Um, what I mean by learn is, like I told you from the beginning, I'm a Southern Baptist male. So my whole outlook growing up on it was it's negative, it's not what you want to do. Kick them out, cast them out, etc. But as time grown, as I become a parent, as I'm seeing things, I wanted to know. And instead of me assuming, I said, hell, why not ask you guys? And you guys have done exactly what I wanted from me. So for anybody watching, I say this from time to time when I do series with people. I did this for myself because I really wanted to know. but y'all can watch as well.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, Reggie, anything you learned, any last words, any comments, feelings, talk to us before we get out of here, man.
Yeah, man. Keiz, I just want to tell you, and I don't know if it sounds crazy when I say it, but I do appreciate everything that you do. Because honestly and truly, you're bringing the conversations in areas and places that I never thought I would see go. You're very intelligent in terms of, not letting down. And one thing I have to remember, because sometimes I feel like you personally attacking me, is that you represent not what you're saying. It doesn't necessarily represent you, but it represents a lot of people who feel that way about us still in this day. And I appreciate you because you keep me on my toes. I'm a passionate, I debate, but I'm very passionate. And the thing about me is when I get passionate, I can emotionally shut down. And I appreciate you for allowing me to push past this and just being open to the idea of knowing that maybe I don't know, and the way that I think of it doesn't necessarily fit right, and maybe it requires a different bag. So I appreciate you partnering with us, Angelo. I mean, our friendship this year has grown significantly. Now you're a co-host, a part of Reggie's Expressions, which it only made sense. But at the end of the day, I really do value what you have to say. You and I are on two different ends of the spectrum when it comes to this lifestyle, and I love what you have to say in terms of speaking your truth and me standing firm in mine. So but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens and what's next. And Keiz, you definitely have I'm a follower. I am a fan because I've seen some of your other shit, man, and you that guy. You know what I'm saying? So, how you have that guy, you that guy. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for the opportunity, and this is turned out better than what I ever expected.
Oh man, you're welcome. You got any soft words to say for us, Angelo? Or you gonna throw your eyebrow up at us the whole time?
No, I look, I actually came on board on this very nervous, to be honest. Um, as we did episode one, started off, we came into episode two, and now in episode three. I actually have a lot of confidence within myself. Yeah, I have, I'm kind of like that little mid-sized chihuahua. Um, but like I said, I think I bring a lot of conversation into things, and to be honest, I actually like doing this thing. I mean, I hopefully we could do something else.
Oh yeah.
As far well, to me, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the community because I have broad knowledge and stuff of other things, but just just for people to understand that the struggle that's happening within the community is not exclusive to our community. It happens in every community. It's happened in the Black community, it's happened in the Latino community. So acceptance, inclusion, and I know that the coming in, coming out is a little different, but the even the inviting of having conversations with family and friends and laws. I mean, there's laws that affect all of us. Not only LGBT, Black, Latino, Asians. I mean, we all have our struggles in America. And to be honest, I just wish, summarizing everything else, is before you judge other people, just walk not even a full mile, a half a mile in somebody else's shoes, and you will probably understand their struggles as well, instead of you just judging them because of your point of view, because your point of view is different than mine. Your struggles and my struggles are different. So I'm just gonna probably end on that note, because really, I mean, at the end of the day, I look at race not being black or white or Caucasian. We're all one, which is the human race, and we should all experience it the same way. I know that's a high expectation, but if we do look at it that way, we would be able to treat each other better.
That is true. Well, this is Keiz Ali, Reggie from Reggie's Expressions, his new co-host Angelo. Thank you guys for watching. The bottom tells a story. Make sure you follow if you want to donate. Donate. I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys for watching. And hey, before we go, Nico, what's going on? Nico's not on the screen, but he's the guy that's been throwing things up and down
I
left
was
and
about to
right.
say, what's Nico doing in the background?
Nico back there doing this thing. We appreciate Nico as always. It's at Nico
Thank you,
Smoke.
I
man.
was about.
At Nico Smoke. Make sure that you follow him. If you need in-person setup production, you already know. Check out my stuff. He does it all. And if you need anything set up like this, and when you're online, Nico can take care of that as well. So shout out Nico Smoke. Again, that's at Nico Smoke. And just like that, man, we out. 3 shows done. Hopefully we can do something again. Thank you guys for watching, and we out.
All right.